I want to wish everyone a magnificent, beautiful Shabbos. It's this Shabbat that we would have read two portions in Shul, Chukat and Balak. And with that, we will realign ourselves with Israel, which has been 1 week ahead of us for the past few weeks since the festival of Shavuot. And all Jewish people around the world will now be reading the same portion following the Shabbat. So one of the themes that we talk about the Shabbat is the desire of King Balak, an archenemy of the Jewish people, to destroy the Jewish people with words. And so he summons as the master, wizard, and prophet, Bilam, who has tremendous strength to cause harm to others through the power of words. And he hires him to curse the Jewish people. There are many interactions between Bilam and his donkey and the angel on the way, and he is told that he will not be allowed to say one word other than what God tells him to say. And sure enough, each attempt to curse the Jewish people is transformed into tremendous blessings. Some of those blessings actually included in our prayers daily. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkanatecha Yisrael, how beautiful are your tents, Jacob, and your dwelling places, Israel, included in our daily prayers. So Bilam attempts to curse the Jewish people, and on each occasion emerge blessings. Balak then turns to Bilam and says, I'm going to take you to a different vantage point. But you'll only see the edge of the Jewish people, just a small part of the Jewish people. And you will not be able to see the entire Jewish people from that vantage point. And from there you will be able to curse the Jewish people. The Kotzker Rebbe, who gives so many beautiful insights into life, says, what's the correlation? Why, when he says, I'll take you to a vantage point where you'll only see the edge and end, a little bit of the Jewish people, but not its entirety, then you'll be able to curse the Jewish people. Why? And he explains an interesting deficiency in human assessment. Because when we see partial vision, when we only see part of the picture and not the entirety, when we recognize that we are unable to see everything, then we realize that when we look normally and see just a little part of the story, it's very easy to be a source of negativity. When we look at somebody else and we see them for all their deficiencies, what we need to realize is we're only seeing a part. We don't know the whole story. How do we know what that person's really going through, what their issues are? And in Ethics of Our Fathers, it tells us, never judge another human being until you're able to put yourself in exactly their vantage point, their place, in their shoes, which we know can never happen. We never stand in somebody else's shoes. Even if our circumstances are similar, we don't have the same emotions, the same responses, the same makeup, metabolism, dealing with the issues. So we never stand in somebody else's shoes. We always see just a little part of their picture. And therefore we see with negative eyes and we are able to pass judgment. Says the Kotzker Rebbe, let us learn from the beautiful message of this Shabbat, is when we look with partial vision, we see negativity. If we look bigger, broader, if we're able to open our eyes to try and take in the full perspective, we'll have more reason to speak with blessing. And when we can't, we need to realize the deficiency is in ourselves, because why we are speaking negatively is because we really cannot master the whole picture. And it applies in so many other areas as well. The 10th of the commandments teaches us not to be jealous, not to covet that which belongs to another human being. And it says, don't covet not his wife, and not his possessions, and not his assets, and not his beautiful home. Don't look at all of those things. And don't look at everything that belongs to somebody else and be jealous. And the commentaries explain, why does it need to list all the individual details and then end off, and everything that belongs to your friend? And if you're saying everything, why list the details? But it's coming to tell us that if you don't want to get caught up in the jealousy of somebody else's individual asset, try and look at everything that your friend owns. And you realize that they have these advantages over you and these assets that you don't have. But there are things that you have in life that they don't have. And you look at their entire picture, which is impossible to do, you'll recognize and you'll realize that everybody has advantages and everybody has challenges. And it is a method to not look with negative eyes, and in this case, with eyes of jealousy, when you're able to see the full picture. This message from this Shabbat is to try and recognize our deficiency in not being able to see the full picture. Because we only see just the edge. Negativity, and God forbid, the opposite of blessing can come from our mouth. But when we look with positive eyes, we're able to see positive things, and we're able to talk positively too. May the week ahead be filled with wonderful opportunities. Have a beautiful Shabbos. See you next week.